Hello students, standard 6th. We are going to start the revision of chapter number 5 in chemistry, that is separation of substances. Now we know that in our daily life there are so many instances, so many times we have to separate some substances from the mixture. Let us first see what is mixture and what is the pure substance. When the substance is made from the same type of particles, we can say that it is pure substance. For example, milk is a pure substance, sugar, pure substance, wheat flour, pure substance, salt, pure substance. But sometimes some pure substance are together, means the whole thing is not containing the same type of particles. Then we can say that it is a mixture. So now in our daily life there are so many examples in which we need to separate the substances. For example, in the morning we prepare tea. Then before we drink the tea, what do? Tea leaves are separated from the liquid by using the strainer. Using the strainer we filter it. So the tea leaves will be remaining in the strainer and your tea will be in your cup and then you drink the tea. Similarly, when the crop is cut from the field, then the husks, from the husk, the grain of husk separated from the stalks, then separated from the husk. Similarly, to obtain the butter, what do? Milk or the curd is churned using a churner to separate the butter because it is a mixture. Also, we gin cotton to separate its seeds from the fiber. We learn in the fiber to fabric also that in the ginning process we comb the cotton fibers to separate the seeds and fibers from that cotton wool. So, similarly, when you eat sometimes like a poha, sometimes your mother put chili flakes in it or some curry leaves, fried curry leaves are there. Then before we eat, we pick out the chili flakes. Otherwise you will get burning sensation. So when you take your poha in your dish, first you will separate out that chili flakes. So there is also one type of separation there. And similarly, if you are given a basket full of different types of fruits and if you want to make it separate, you can take different containers and then you will pick up the fruits one by one and put them separately like mangoes or guavas and bananas in the separate things. So now, sometimes it is easy from the simple methods, but sometimes you have to use different difficult methods also. For example, if salt and sand are mixed, how will you make them separate easily? Can you take out by hand picking? From the poha, you find out chili flakes by picking them with your finger. Similarly, when you find out the separation of fruits, you can separate them easily. So, you cannot do that every time. Before we go to the different methods of separation, let us first understand what is the need. Why do we need to separate different components of a mixture? And give two examples. What is the reason? Why do we need to separate them? So, first reason is that we need to separate two different and useful components. For example, we throw away, purpose to which to separate two different, but one useful and the other is harmful. For example, when you bring the grains from the market like wheat or rice, what do? You separate stones from rice. Right? So, we keep the wheat because we need it. We throw away the stones because we don't need it. It is not useful. Similarly, sometimes we separate the mixtures because there are some harmful substance in it. There are harmful substance also there that we need to separate them. Or sometimes in the mixture all the components are necessary. For example, when you churn the butter, churn the curd, you get two things which are both useful. That is the butter and the buttermilk. You use buttermilk some other way, you use butter to make ghee and that thing. So sometimes to remove the harmful or not useful substances, sometimes we want to separate the both useful component and so on. So we use these things, means it is necessary to separate harmful or non-useful components and so on. Now, which methods do we use to separate the components? It depends. We cannot use the same method for separation of all the mixtures. It depends which type of materials are mixed with it, their sizes, their texture, and their state of matter. Maybe they are solid or liquid or gas. So it depends on the different way, on the size and the solid, liquid, etc. And we have to think about it and use the proper method of the separation. So there are simple, first we will discuss today about the simple methods, and that simple methods The three simple methods are hand picking, threshing, winnowing, and the other one is sheaving. These are the most simple methods that we can use in our daily life. First of all, we will learn about the hand picking. The method of hand picking. What is hand picking and when can we use this method? Hand picking it means that when we separate the method, separate the objects by either picking or plucking with the hand. So that method is known as the hand picking. As we already know about it, that when we bring a full sack of wheat or the rice or any other grains, then maybe you know that your mother and your sister, they take some of the grains in a plate, and after taking that in the plate, they take few grains side, pick the stones out and throw it away. And by this method, all the wheats are going through this process and take out the stones or any other dusts, etc., by picking it with the hand. So that method is known as hand picking. In this you can see that the mixture has particles which are quietly bigger, and you can see with your eyes and take it out, separate it with your hand. So that is the thing. So when we separate slightly larger size impurities in that, then it is known as the hand picking method. So it is a very convenient method of separating substances. Similarly, when we separate the fruits from the basket, when we pluck the flowers from the plant, we pluck the vegetables from that, it is also the method of hand picking. So that is the simplest method of hand picking. Then the other method is threshing. The other method is threshing. Now this method of threshing is used by the farmers. But before we go to the thing, we already actually talked about it, that we can pluck the mangoes, we can pluck the flowers, we can do the separation of the fruits, etc., by the hand picking. But you know, when the crop is harvested from the farm, then from the stalks we have to separate the grains. Is it convenient for us to do it by hand picking? We don't say it is impossible. It is possible. But is it convenient? How long will it take? Because on one stalk, it's not that only few grains on it. There are so many grains on one stalk. And in the farm, when you harvest the crop, there are so many stalks, bundles and bundles of stalks. Then, if you do that method, that do the separation by hand picking, it will take a longer time and it is quite tiresome also. So we have to use the another method, and that is known as threshing. In which, what do they do? The stalks are beaten to free the grain seeds. It means that they take the bundle of stalks in the hand, and in front of them may be a heavy stone or a piece of wood is there. And then what do? They take that bundle of stalk and hit them on that hard material, as shown in the figure here. You can see that the farmer is beating it on the piece of stone or some wooden material. Then what will happen when we hit it with the very force beaten? Then the grain seeds are getting free from the stalks. Sometimes if it is on the big farm, they use the bullocks also, with the help of bullocks also. And nowadays the thresher machines are also used, because it is very big farm. Then by doing the hair with the hand, it is also very tiresome, and therefore nowadays threshing is done by using the thresher machines also, when there is larger quantities of grain are there. Now when we separate the grain from the stalk, still there are husks in it. Husk means very light covering of the seeds. So now we have to separate that, and for that the winnowing method is used. Now winnowing method can be used when the very light particles are mixed with heavy particles. So they have a quite different in their weight, in their mass, and then they can be separated easily. So for that what we have to do, that we have to go to take the mixture, and you can do one thing, that you have to stand little higher on a platform and allow the mixture to fall down by using a winnowing basket. We have to use the winnowing basket, or in our Gujarati language we call it supdu. So the grain along with the husk is taken in a winnowing basket or the supdu, and then allow it to fall. When the wind is coming, if the wind is not, then we can use a big fan. We put on the fan, and then the wind is there. So when we allow the mixture to fall in front of that fan, due to the force of the air, the lightweight husks will run away, will flew away with the wind, and they will fall at the farm. But the grains are heavier, and then due to the gravitational force, they will fall down by his legs. So that is known as the method of winnowing. You can use this method to separate the mixture of sand with sawdust. Sand is little heavier, sawdust is lighter. So when you allow the mixture as shown in the figure, thus winnowing, you can see that the lady is allowing the mixture, then the husks are going away and the grains are falling at the legs. So that is the method we know as winnowing. So we can separate the mixture of the dry sand and sawdust also, or the powdered dry leaves also from the mixture. We can use this method of winnowing. So because this method is convenient, if you can use Hand picking, it is impossible. Sawdust or the dry powder of the leaves. If you want to separate from the sand, mixture of sand and that, it is not possible by hand picking. So we have to use the method of winnowing. Then the sieving. Sieving is the method in which we use it to separate the small particles and little bigger particles. For example, when we make roti or chapati, before that what do your mother do with the wheat flour? She will take a charni, which is known as sieve, which has very small holes, and the bigger impurities will remain on that sieve and the flour will be coming down. By this method, the sieving method is known as that. And you go to the construction sites, then also you see that the sand is allowed to fall from a big sieve like that, and then they separate the very small pebbles and big stones by this method. So that is the method of sieving is also used. So is it possible to separate sugar mixed with wheat flour? Yes. How? You can use it by the method of hand picking, because you can do the sieving also. Why? Sieving will be more convenient here. So you take the mixture in the sieve and do the sieving. The sugar particles are bigger, so it will remain on the sieve while the flour will be separated like that. So we discuss about all the assignment questions. You will write down on your own. Thank you very much.